This is the Run Recap.
Ten 800s, 1 minute rest. What pace were you shooting for?
Oh, 6 minutes.
Right. 6 minutes,
Yeah.
so 3 minute intervals.
Yeah, so 3 minute 800s.
Right.
Yeah.
I was shooting for 6:30. I thought 6 was gonna be too tough, so I was shooting for like 3:15 or so.
Yeah.
For the intervals. So how'd you do? How was since yours is most recent in your memory? How was it?
Yeah. Well, my first one was awesome. Ran it in 250 and felt great. And then
That's fast.
second one, yeah, and it was just smooth, felt so good. Second one felt really bad and hurt really bad. So I fell off like immediately. Well, and
no.
the dauntingness of 10 of them just
I know.
was just
It
brutal.
gets in your head.
Yeah, it really, really does. Well, I think that is like what's so good about that workout specifically.
For sure.
Is that it's this mental thing, more than whatever it does for you physically. I don't even know what it does for you physically. I just know it mentally, it just fixes some things so fast. But anyway, second one was really painful, and then all of a sudden I ran it in, I believe 3:15. So immediately they just dropped off. Like I was not, so sub 3, and then I couldn't do it again.
Yeah.
And so then I was 3:15, and then got my third one in, about to start my fourth one, and I'm looking for a way out. Because on my workout plan, I only have to do 4 of these. Like, that's my actual workout plan.
Gotcha.
But I listened to a podcast a year ago about how to run a sub 3 minute, or a sub 3 hour marathon.
Right.
And they suggested doing 10 800s at 6 minute pace. And so
Yeah.
I decided no matter what I'm running, I should probably do that workout.
Well, and that's what sparked this workout. Yeah, a year or two ago when we both did it the first time.
Exactly. Was like, okay, well, if that's what you do to be that tough, then I want to be that tough, even though I'm not running a marathon and I'm not trying to do a marathon under 3 minutes.
For under 3 hours, yeah.
Yeah, that's not actually a goal of mine at all, right? I mean, in the distant future it is, but like right now, I know I can't train for something like that. So, it's not in the plans. But I like the idea of the workout so much, I just did it anyway. So, but on my actual workout plan for my half marathon at 6:45 pace. That's what my workout plan is set for now. I'm supposed to do 4 of them today. So
wait. So you were supposed to do 4
at
6:45, and instead you're like, I'm going to do 10 at 6 flat.
6 flat, yeah. And because we had talked about it, and like, why not be faster, right? And so
why not?
Yeah. So so that was in my head. So then, but at 3, I'm making excuses. And I messaged you and was like, hey, any chance you failed? Because I want to fail right now, bad.
I know. I didn't want to give you that out. Mine's a story.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you have a full day story. Well, I need to hear about
exactly.
That. So I got, so I'm like, okay, Mike's not responding. I got to get to this.
Yeah.
So I ran one more, and then I was at 4, and I'm like, okay, 6 more. That's not that many. It's fine.
No.
It's
almost halfway.
4. Yeah. So, get back to it, get this thing done. So then I did my 5th one, and then it's, okay, no, piece of cake. I did 5, I can do 5 more. No problem, right?
Right.
And my times kept falling apart, though. So I was running, so I was just basically I slowed down. By the time I hit my 7th one, I was running 7 minute pace. So I was doing 3:30s.
Okay.
And stayed basically there until my last one. I was able to kick it up a notch a little bit, but not much. I mean, I think I hit 3:20 on my last one. So.
Which, for this workout, running those in 7s or just under 7s is not that bad.
No, it's completely reasonable, actually.
If you're not doing this type of a workout a lot, those are excellent splits, I feel like.
Yeah. No, I think so too. And I think it's just that, yeah, so I'm not disappointed because I knew it was at a stretch goal to begin with,
Right.
like to pull this off a 6 minute, but like I always kind of like to really test. I'd hate to leave something out there, and I'd hate to take off and then get through, like, I'm at number 7 and I've been running about 7-minute pace and been like, I got a lot more left in the tank,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'd rather take off quick and maybe fall into that rhythm, because every now and then it happens where you fall into a rhythm that you didn't know was quite there.
Mm-hmm.
And then just hang on to that, and then all of a sudden you pull off something you didn't know you could. And I've had that happen so many times that I hate to miss that opportunity.
Totally. Yeah, I've experienced the same thing. You get over that hump of pain or hump of frustration or the mental block, and then you're just like, oh, well, I'm just doing this now.
Yeah. Or just flat out the fear. And this one does, man. It hits this weird, like, I don't know. Fear is too harsh of a word, but like,
it's there though.
Yeah.
It's there for sure.
And I feel silly saying that, because I mean, compared to like something actually scary, obviously it's not, but
right.
But in terms of that there, though.
In terms of workouts, it's fear though.
Right. Yeah. And the pain that you go through when you hit real failure at a limit where you didn't think you should have failed, like that I get scared of that.
Oh, me too. Well, I think that's what keeps me doing negative splits when I do my normal runs, my normal workouts, is because I'm too afraid of going out at a strong pace, pushing it the whole time, and then the last, half mile falling off and like having to stop or having to, basically having it break me is
right.
If I'm really honest with myself, that's why I do negative splits, because I'm like, oh, if I go out kind of easy, then I can push hard the last mile and that'll be fine. And I can, you can justify it in a lot of ways. I can justify it by saying, well, my first mile is a warm up, which is valid. It's a valid excuse, but also it's just an excuse because I'm just scared.
Yeah. Well, and then I think mine hits the other way around, because what about the times that I've done that where I take off? I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a Mike version. I'm going to, first mile is a warm up. I'm going to take off and just kind of see how I feel. I'm going to pick it up a little bit. And then when I hit failure at mile 4, but I already took off slow, and then I full on fail, and I'm stumbling. Like, I'm still 2 miles from home, stumbling, walking. Like, oh, now I know I'm actually a loser now. Like,
that hits totally different. You're right.
Yeah, and that is the ultimate of like, man, I have trouble coming back from that one. Like, that takes me, and then I'm scared to even run the next day.
Like, you're being for real? Like, that hits you mentally, like, really hard?
Oh yeah, really hard. Yeah, no, it hit me so hard that, like, what am I even doing out here? Why do I even run? And and I think I'm in this silly place too, where I'm fast, but I'm fast for most people in my age group, and I'm fast for like a fun runner, right? But I'm not fast. I'm not fast compared to fast people, and I'm not talking like Olympians, right? I mean, that's not even in the ballpark, But I'm not fast compared to when I go to a competitive race in town,
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm at that in between spot where I don't get to run with those guys, and I also don't get to run with the other guys, and I'm stuck in between.
Yeah, I kind of know what you mean. I have a client that he's I think he's 30, so a bit younger than me, a lot younger than you, and he's trying to get in this run club over here in Seattle, and so he's been training and trying to get some times, and so I was asking him, he did a mile PR, so it's his lifetime PR, never ran a mile this fast. I'm like, oh, what was your time? It kind of took a little bit pulling out of him, and he's like, oh, it was 4:45. I'm like, man. And he was like poo-pooing it a little bit, it was, he was like, yeah, it was pretty good. I'm like, dude, that's flying. I'm like, I was striving to break 5 years ago, like when I was like 32, but like under 5 in your 30s, like even if you have no ambitions to be competitive, like that is just a fast mile.
It really is. But then I guess that's more to the point, though, is everyone really feeling what I'm feeling?
Oh, probably. I'm sure.
I think there's some people out there that are very content going and getting their runs in, just being consistent with it and stuff and being healthy and all of that. And that's probably really good mentally. And then, but the competition part's really fun.
Yeah.
And because of that, then, is everyone that's in that ballpark, no matter what speed you're at, are they feeling the same thing as what I'm describing? So
yeah, I wonder if they
feel this way.
Yeah, I wonder if they are because for me, because I don't do any races, I don't compete at all. I still have that fear of pushing myself and why I don't push myself, if I'm really honest. But then I also don't care though, I want to be quick and I want to be fast and I want my runs to feel good, but they are just to go out, it's really just to go out and be in the sun half the time,
Sure.
I don't really care much beyond that, but I kind of want to push my times. But that also could be just the phase of life I'm in, and how much of that hold back is it because I'm scared of that failure and that work that it takes, and maybe the mindset fail that you're talking about. I don't know if I've ever experienced it quite like that, but I know that has to be a normal thing amongst distance runners, your type of distance runners.
Sure. Yeah, I wonder what that is. You've always done a good job of, I feel like, I might be wrong, I feel like you've always done a good job of separating yourself from it. So you will have, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to do my best, but it's not who I am.
Yeah. I that's never taken place. Almost to a fault though, because I would have been a much better athlete and had a more successful, collegiate career if I had actually identified with it a little bit more. Not even putting my whole identity in it, but if I just kind of, allowed myself to really embrace everything, it probably would have turned out a little bit different. I think I do that to a fault sometimes, but as far as running workouts go, I don't really care. But then the problem is I can talk myself out of things really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I hit won't get into my story yet, but I hit number 4 and that Y creeped up. I'm like, why am I doing this? Who cares? It doesn't matter. This is nonsense, and I was surprised that it hit me that soon. I thought that would hit me at 6. But
right.
at 4, I'm like, okay, do I really need to do this?
So we hit that same thing. And okay, from a trainer perspective, what are we dealing with here? Why is that? Why is it early? Why is it not on number 7? That when we've actually worked way harder, at number 3 and 4, we haven't worked that hard. And really, as far as the actual minutes put into that, what we're at 12 minutes of hard work.
Yeah.
And that's nothing, especially we have been doing some distance training. That's nothing. And what's going on there? Why is that so hard in the first half?
I think it's just that psychology of it being so many reps of it. Cause it's 3 minutes and then you get that short rest. And then, so that's 4 minutes and that's 1. And I think the break makes it hard. Because when I hit, it was number 2, I was coming around number 2 and I stopped and I'm recovering quick. My lungs are doing fine. My energy is shot, but my lungs are great and breathing hard, but recovering really fast and still thinking that I have so many to do. I'm why just not stop? Just keep going. The break is the hiccup in the pace and the flow is making it harder. So I think there's an element of that you just, because you break off the momentum, you stop the momentum and it just throws a wrench in your flow.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of it.
What's frustrating about this workout today specifically, it is that by the end, I'm running 7-minute pace. I can run 5 miles at 7-minute pace. I can do that.
Exactly.
Why am I struggling? I'm even resting and I'm struggling, and there's no hills. Like, I'm on a track, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But you can't, but that's the thing, is that you can't you can't run 5 miles at 6-minute pace.
Yeah,
and so
that's for sure.
My suspicion for you, from a trainer's perspective, well, I'll speak for myself first. I am not in shape for this workout.
Mm-hmm.
Just pure and simple. Like my running shape is pretty good. I could probably hold 3 miles at 6:30 I know I could do that. I could hold 3 miles at 6:30, maybe a little bit faster, but I haven't been doing a lot of that. My runs have been very inconsistent, and they've been very much just pleasure runs, not really pushing pace. I'll go out and I'll push the last mile, but I'm not going 100%. I'm going like 80% for the last mile. So I know for me, I'm just not in shape for it. I know that even 6:30 pace for these would have been fine. 6-minute pace would have broken me fast. So even just that, 15-second drop in pace for each 800 would have broken me. I could just tell it would have broken me mentally, broken me physically too. My body would not have held up for it at all. So I don't know what your training schedule has been like, but 10 of these for me was I'm just not in shape for it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was not either. Like, that is not where my training's been pretty inconsistent, and then my sleep has also been pretty inconsistent too.
Oh, so, me too.
When I'm when I'm properly rested right now, I keep finding I'm suddenly fast. And when I'm not properly rested, I'm just dying, and I'm going really slow.
It's amazing when you have a full night's sleep, what a workout feels like.
It's crazy. It starts to feel like how much. Well, I guess it was probably different from you. In high school, I was always sleep deprived.
Mm.
Like always. 5 hours
Why?
of sleep was a normal night.
Why was that?
I think because just training so much. So I'm going through school, and then I'm running, and then I get home at 5. I eat dinner now at 7 o'clock. Now I'm trying to hammer homework out. I'm in bed by 11. I'm up at 5 again to go back to school and run in the morning.
Totally. Yeah.
And it makes me wonder. I think when you're younger like that, and obviously what's pumping through your body at 16 is different than it is at 43. And so you can kind of get away with that stuff. But I often have wondered recently, with knowing how much that affects me now, I'm like, oh man, had I been able to be rested, how much faster would my recovery have been, and how much more strength would I have had? For some of that stuff.
I'm sure you would have had a lot. Well, and then the added effect, I think I've read a few different places that teenagers need an extra 2 hours of sleep than we even realize half the time. So then you're getting sleep deprived by an adult standards, but even more to sleep deprived by teenage standards. Yeah, I didn't really experience much of that. My high school was fine. My college was, I'm sure there was sleep deprived going on, but it wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm. It's just getting up early. You go to the skate park in the morning.
Yeah, that wasn't college though. I didn't do that in the college. I had to drive to the bus stop and then commute to, it was 2.5 hours or something.
Was that after college?
The skate park stuff?
Yeah.
No, it was in between. Really, so it's funny, that era really was mainly the summer between, before my because I was living with you. So it must have been my sophomore year of college before I got married. It was really that summer. You were still working. So it's summertime. I'm not in school, I'm working out in the afternoons, and that's it. Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I have trouble remembering what stage of life we were in at different points back then. It was a long time ago now.
Right. Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, it's tough. And that era seems that we were getting up at 6 a.m. to go skate before you had to go to work and before it got too hot. That seems like a really long time it seemed like that spanned a really long time, but it was really just one summer.
Yeah, no, it really was. It was just that one summer. And then the second summer was a little bit of that, but not really.
We would do it here and there, but not much. But the second summer, I think Lucas was almost born.
Oh, I think you're right.
Or close to, or something like that. And so it was much harder to duplicate that scenario.
Man, I have no idea when everything happened.
I know, me neither. Okay, so here's
All
my
right, your story.
So I started off, took some pre-workout, which I normally don't do, but I figured it's afternoon. I was already going into this workout feeling it was daunting. You know, I was already nervous about it. So I'm like, let's get a little extra, do some pre-workout, drive into the track. I roll up and there's like a high school soccer game. Like the track is closed. It's not intramural soccer game where you could still do it anyway. It's like the track is shut down.
Oh no.
I'm like, shoot. Okay. So I'm like Googling what the closest track to me is. And I found one on Queen Anne. So I'm driving to Queen Anne. I'm like halfway there and like I feel the pre-workout kicking in, like, you know, getting all tingly, you know, a little jittery. I'm like, oh, I need to run really soon. I get to the track. It's a dirt track, but it's a full size track, you know? So I'm like, okay, like I'll make it work, you know, at that pace, a dirt track with its inconsistencies, it's like on the verge of being really annoying and hard to keep your stride, you know, because it's going to have little.
There are so many dirt tracks still over there. It was surprising to me when I was running there how many dirt tracks there were still.
There's tons. It's really ridiculous, and most of them are a little bit smaller. Most of them are like 300-meter tracks, but this one was full size, full 400. So I start off warm up. My watch freezes.
Oh no.
So I can't, and like I cannot reset it. And so I'm like, well, once a dirt track, I'm already nervous about the pace with how level the surface is. And then I can't keep track of my rest times or my pacing or anything. Right. And so I bail. I'm like, all right, well, this just isn't working. I'll do it later, you know, especially knowing you're going to do it later too. So I go home, I go out the second time. The track's clear. It's fine. So I do a good warm up and actually I feel pretty good. And looking at my times, my pace was, you know, my goal was 6:30. So I'm sitting at, I think, 3:09, 3:10, 3:12 on all 6 laps. But same thing as you. Like, I feel pretty good 1 and 2. I guess you struggled on 2. I felt fine 1, 2. 3 was okay. 4, the mental part just pushed in hard. It's like, why are we doing this? This is just not a smart idea, probably. You know, like those thoughts start coming in.
I know. I'm probably going to be injured or something, right?
Exactly. So, but anyway, I do 5. I get over the hump, right? You hit 5 and you're like, okay, 5 more, easy. Like you can cruise. My lungs were fine. My not even muscularly my legs, but my energy of my legs, like the amount of energy I felt like I had was just depleting fast. You know, it was so much work to keep. I assumed I was falling off pace. Looking back, 6 was still on pace, actually completely, but I thought I was falling off hard. Laps or number 6 on the beginning of the first lap, I got a gnat in my eye.
Oh no.
And I could not get it out until the rest. So like I was like doing that whole lap, but I assumed I was going so slow. But I was doing the whole lap like with my finger in my eye, like on and off, trying to dig it out. And then I didn't get it clear until I finally had the rest at the end of 6.
Yeah.
So annoying. Then number 7 starts. I get the first curve of number 7 and my right knee starts hurting. And what's annoying is like I have some patella tendonitis on my left knee. That I'm kind of always aware, make sure it's warmed up and loose enough for. And then I have some ankle stuff, actually Achilles issues going on with my right leg. So like those are all taped, and I made sure I warmed them up properly, and so I'm ready to go. And so the fact that my then right knee is having pain is so frustrating, right? So it's a sharp pain on the inside of my right knee, and it starts again on that first 100. And so I don't ignore it, but I let it roll for a little bit, see how bad it is, if it's going to increase, if it's going to go away. I kind of change a little bit of my stride patterns, and it's just dug in. Kind of getting worse. I don't know if it's getting worse, but it's at least staying the same and not going away at all. And it's sharp enough where very quickly I'm like, if this persists, I have to stop. This is not smart to run on this. I get to the back stretch, the last 100 of the first lap, even of number 7, and I have to stop. This is just not smart. So I walk to, there's some bleachers there, and I do a couple stretches, and I try to do some a manual release of my VMO, the inside part of the muscle, the quad, and I, take my rest, and I go out for number 8, and it's immediately. So I shut it down. Okay, well, I can't do this. And so thinking I'm done, I drank a ton of water, recovering, and I started just trying to stretch some things out and stretch my calves and whatnot. And then it's funny how often this happens. The trainer in me finally clicks in of well, what's causing the pain, right? The knee pain. Sure. Before I kind of wasn't analyzing that. I was oh, it's frustrated. And so I'm okay, well, traditionally right there with that spot, it's going to be my VMO potentially is tight, which I kind of already tried to address. I'm or it's going to be my hip. It's going to be my glute med or my piriformis or something. So I went into a kind of a pigeon style stretch, and I'm stretching there, and it feels tight, but doesn't feel excessively tight. And so I'm let's see how that feels. Kind of feeling all right. I do a little jog. I'm I feel nothing. It feels fine. Good as new. I'm yeah. Well, and so then I'm trying to decide, do I finish it out? And I have this, I don't know if it's you in my head, but something in my head saying come on, you just have to finish. Dude, you are capable now of doing 10. Just do 10. You got a break, whatever, just do 10. And so I start, but mind you, I just drank a ton of water thinking I was done. So right. I start out on 8. I feel fine, except for I also feel terrible because I have this water sloshing, and I took a 3-minute rest. So my body is completely cooled down. And so I go, the first lap's painful, second lap's painful. I hit my rest, but I did it. Now I just got 2 more, right? Easy, fine, 2 more. I start out on 9. Feels a little better, stomach settling down. The back half of 9, the pain starts again. I take my rest. I try to stretch a little bit, and then I go out on 10. First 5 steps, it's just as bad as it was on number 7, so I just have to shut it down. So I did not hit 10. I hit 9. I hit 7 with a long rest, and then 2 more.
You got darn close.
I got darn close, but I still didn't get it.
Well, that's got to be. I mean, it's almost it's a joke among distance runners that we go out and obviously you're gonna feel pain most runs at different points. And you're constantly just wondering, okay, is this the time that I'm injured? Or is this, hey, which one is it? Or did I not warm up right? Or did I warm up too much or not enough? Or should I maybe start stretching someday? Or, so it's a normal thing that we all have to deal with. And so is it a benefit for you or a hindrance to be a trainer where you actually have the knowledge?
Yeah, in this situation, it was a definite benefit because I know exactly why the pain was there and I know how to get rid of it. But I also, I guess it's just a benefit because I knew to not push too far. I feel I'm pretty aware and sensitive to how much, what pain is not going away. What pain is going to stay? What pain is going to last and be an actual problem? Because my gauge, I always I use it myself and I tell my clients, if you're getting an acute pain on a run, it's okay to push through it as long as it's diminishing or it's barely there. You know, if you get a pain in your ankle, especially right when you start a run, like it's fine to keep going. But if it persists or gets worse, you should probably stop. But you definitely evaluate it, right? You push the limit of it. You see what it's, what it's all about. Because oftentimes I start my run, my ankles are destroyed. Like every step hurts. But you get half a mile in, you're like, oh, hey, warmed up. I'm good to go.
Right. Or then I get them. It's not uncommon that I'll get a weird knee or ankle pain. So again, it's in places where it could be severe, like could be a real problem. And it's not abnormal that it'll hit me like mile 5, mile 6, where like I'm plenty warmed up. I've been feeling great. All of a sudden, I don't feel great. Like this is not. And so sometimes it hits in a way where like, okay, it seems smart to walk now, and I just walk home. Like I'm just not gonna. Today is not the day to worry, but I'm not racing or anything, so no big deal. And then and it's fine. Other days I'll push through it, and it's also fine. But in the back of my mind is always this: when is it gonna not be fine? Because sometimes this isn't gonna be fine. And I don't think I know enough to know, which pain am I feeling here? I don't know.
Well, so do you have a scale or what's the determining factor on whether you walk home or whether you just kind of push through it?
No, completely emotional.
Really?
Oh yeah. No, there's nothing, because I'm at the wrong point to make a logical decision. And I honestly don't, here I'm a really experienced runner, but I don't know what that is.
What the pain is?
Yeah, I don't know what the pain is. And I'm not 16 where, pain is just mostly fake. All I'm doing is I'm just learning to be tougher. At 16, I'm just learning to be tougher, where I haven't learned my pain thresholds yet. And now at this age, I know my pain thresholds. I know I'm not trying to learn to be tougher. I know I can push through anything. And now I'm trying to be smart of like, okay, I know how hard I can push, and I can always push through this stuff. But when should I not? And that's a really, really difficult thing for me to figure out, because I feel like I'm actually not knowledgeable enough for that.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. But do you think that it's the times that you do stop and you say it's purely emotional? Is it emotional or is it intuitive?
I would say I don't think I'm at a good place to say it's intuitive.
Okay.
So, and knowing that where I'm at during that run at that point, I don't think that I'm in a good enough frame of mind to be intuitive about it. And so I'd like to, and I think I simply separate it to how important is this run? How important is it for me to push through it right now? And usually on those runs, I'll try and just stride it out if I can. But if it's supposed to be an easy day anyway, then I just don't. Then like, well, no, the point of this run, and that's something I think maturity has been better about, is that allowing myself to do the type of, what is the spirit of the run that I'm supposed to be doing right now? What am I trying to accomplish? And that's way better than when I was younger, is just, no, you always finish the plan, period, no matter what. That's what you do.
that is the plan when you're young.
Yeah, and more pain is better. It's just making me tougher, and I need that right now because I'm young. And so I knew that was the goal. Well, it's not the goal anymore. I'm not trying to be tougher anymore. And because I know those thresholds, I could easily push past that and just harm myself. And so if the point of this run today was to get out, stretch out, get some miles in, well, then walking home is no big deal at all. That's fine.
Totally. Yeah.
So I just start my warm down earlier, and I probably need it anyway. Not a big deal, and that's probably a good thing to listen to. Or is today supposed to be a tempo day or a speed work day where I am just going to fight through some pain? That's the point. Then I'd be more apt to just push through it anyway, unless it starts hitting to a pain level where it's like, okay, I'm actually scared now.
Well, I always have questions about that because for me, the pain differentiation is obviously mostly experience in the running. So there's an element of actual knowledge of anatomy and physiology and biomechanics and all that kind of stuff. But I would say for running, it's mostly experiential of what that pain is. Like when you're young and you're pushing through those hard runs, it's learning to deal with that pain and discomfort and find that threshold past the pain. But those are like my neck hurts and my side hurts and like those type of pains. But I feel like when you get to my knee hurts really bad, even as a young athlete, I don't think I ask a question to you, would you still push through that?
Yeah. Yeah. When I was younger, I definitely would.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a little bit of a difference of, my 43-year-old body versus my 16-year-old body.
Yeah.
And
because I don't think I would at a young age.
You think you would or you would not?
I don't think I would push through like a joint style pain. Like my like the pain I was feeling today, I don't think I would have pushed through that even young when I was learning to really push through that pain. Or learning what pain was and how to deal with it. I don't think I would have done that at that age.
Yeah, I think I just assumed every time that I'm being a wimp when I was younger. Like, that was the baseline of like, no, if pain is making you feel like you should stop, okay, I'm just being a wimp. That's it. And it may or may not be true. I don't know.
Right.
Right. And, luckily I was lucky enough to not have any injuries when I was younger.
Yeah.
So actually, I don't think I had any running injuries when I was younger at all. So,
that could be a very big difference. I mean, you and I had very, very different, introductions to athletics when we were young, and I did have a lot of injuries in high school. And so I think that maybe that's the big difference is you, because your experience was so heavily in the distance running, which is, I mean, who said that the distance running is just pain management? Who can hurt the worst? Or
that's what Tyson told us. What Tyson told us when we had finished, we were towards the end of our cross country season. And so, and he told us that right now, you can't get in better shape than this. So the only thing separating you from the world-class distance runners right now is they handle pain better than you do. And that's it.
Knowing what I know now, I think there's some flaws to that statement, but
I think it was a good thing to tell us psychologically.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? That is a good coaching thing to tell someone that doesn't know better.
Yeah, definitely. Well, because that
it'd be good to like spend 6 years getting to the paces we were trying to get to.
Yeah, of course. But also to a certain point, he's also not wrong. Because distance running is so much about discomfort and managing discomfort. Like, yeah, elite high school kids, yeah, they kind of need to know that. Like, yeah, your pace, your workouts matter and everything, but you need to also just fight through that agony of you can't breathe and you're pushing your muscles to failure.
Yeah. And to know when you do feel like that, when you're pushing and pushing, you feel like, oh, I'm going to pass out. No, you're not.
Right.
No, but you don't know that limit yet.
Or more, you're in control of that.
Yeah.
You're in control whether you pass out right now or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And, I found that, really valuable. I guess it goes into everything in life goes through that filter for me right now. Is it factual or truthful? And it's been that filter that 10 years ago and that and putting everything through that filter, literally everything in my life is it useful in which way? Okay. Is there truth in this? Is this a fact or is there truth in this that's important? And so what he told us there, no, that is completely factually false. Right?
Yeah.
But the truth in that concept was extremely important right then and really useful.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I had
a point.
Yeah, I had a similar explanation when I was in college of I can't remember who said it. It was either my pole coach or maybe it was the head coach. But saying the workouts that Olympians are doing are not that much better than what we're doing. It's everything else they're doing. It's the time with recovery and food, and then the attention to their mindset and visualizations, and it's the lifestyle commitment to it. It's not the workout itself. So there is the difference between what they're doing and what we're doing, but the actual workout is not better.
Right.
It's still on that playing field. There also is another level of commitment though, and time that we either don't have or haven't gotten to, in that point. And I think that still holds mostly true, especially in that era. A lot of things have changed in the past 15 years of workout approaches and training styles, but I think in general, that's holds pretty true.
Yeah. And I think that was the underlying truth that he was, trying to impart to us too, was that, you are doing world class, and Tyson knew, he knows what world class training is.
Right.
And so that is what we were doing, and that's why we had so much success.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What was it? 11 state championships in a row?
I don't know how many they actually ended up with. My year was number 7.
Okay. I think it was something like that. I thought it was 10 or over 10.
I believe they went, past 10, but I don't remember for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can always look up something like that, but that seems, disingenuous.
It's also how much you can't look up now. Have you tried to go back and look at those things? No,
I haven't.
I know all of my times are probably somewhere, and I've tried to look, but it was it was pre-internet. So, so did someone scan and upload that, that piece of paper from that race where they wrote down with pencil everyone's times?
Yeah, it's true. I'm sure someone did, because I remember finding my race times from 2002 from high school. Yeah. So I'm sure it's uploaded somewhere.
I found a lot of when I went digging, but it is funny how much is now it doesn't even exist now, and then how much my memory is not the same as what happened.
Yeah, that's things shift in your mind so quickly. So all in all, how was the workout, and will you do it again?
It was, this is the most valuable workout for me. It just is every single time I do this, and I hate doing it because it hurts so bad and it ruins everything in my brain and just takes me apart. And it is a failure. And I know ahead of time, I probably can't do what it is that I want to do. So
what do you mean by that?
Well, I want to run it. I want to hit 3 minutes on the dot every single time, 10 of them. And that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I know going into it, there's no way I'm actually in shape for that.
Right.
So I'm going into it where I'm going to attempt this because I think it might be possible, and I'd hate to miss the opportunity if it was possible to get it. So I want to go out there like it is there just in case, because maybe it is. Every now and then I surprise myself. I just had a run the other day, jumped on the treadmill, and I ran 4:50 pace for a minute and wasn't breathing hard. And, so it's not too, but it was whoa, there's some speed there that cardio wise, and even in my muscles everything lined up where that was not difficult. And that, I maxed the treadmill for a minute and I got done. I was oh, piece of cake. Okay.
Yeah.
I can do 2 minutes of that just fine. And on that day, I believe that would have been really comfortable. So anyway, so you have those things, and those things in the back of my mind, okay, if these things keep popping up here, maybe this time it's possible to do this.
Yeah.
But I know going in, most likely I'm going to face failure again. And, but to aim at it is so important. And every time I do this, it unlocks another gear And I think it must be more of a psychological thing than physically, because I know how, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you know what the muscles are doing better and what's happening to me physically. But I know for sure, psychologically, it's making me comfortable at a certain pace and at a certain heart rate and all of that stuff to know that, like, oh, I can pop into this and I can recover and I can go do it again. And so then when I go out on my next run, on my next like tempo run, I'll take off, you know, maybe 15 to 30 seconds faster per mile and be really comfortable.
Yeah.
And it unlocks a piece there. And that I found so valuable in getting speed back. And the older I get, the harder it is for me to get my speed back. Like the longer distance become easier and easier, but my keeping up a good pace is more and more difficult for me. So because of that, so I find this just to be the one of, as far as getting speed in, better than like a hill workout, better than sprints, or, you know, anything else, or even, you know, fartleks. This needs to unlock it in a different way. And that darn 1 minute rest, feel like is, you know, where it's like, I'm not recovered, time to go, you know?
Yeah.
And almost like a 30-second rest would be better. A 2 minute rest would be better. The 1 minute hits you right in the middle where it's like, I could use 20 more seconds.
It's so annoying. What were your first two splits like as far regarding the rest?
Well, I was dead on. I kept it right at 60 seconds.
No, but I mean, how did they feel? Like, how was the recovery?
Oh, horrible. It got better later.
Oh, really?
At number 7, my 1 minute recovery was fine. Like, no big deal. Actually, I took off 10 seconds early, twice because my breathing was back to normal.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I did not experience that. My first two breaks, my first two rests I was breathing normal in 30 seconds. I was like, you know, it was like you finish, you do a walk around, I take 2 deep breaths. I'm like, all right, I'm good. Like, I'm done. I'm fine. I could go right now, but I'm definitely taking advantage of the minute. And it just deteriorated after that. So that's really interesting that your first 2 were rough and number 7 was good.
Well, I was just falling apart for my first 4 was just like everything hurt. I'm breathing way harder than I should. I'm like, I'm not even close. Like, I'm failing already. I'm not close to this workout at all. And then it just kind of got better. And I think I also, though, allowed myself to just, okay, once again, do the spirit of the workout. The spirit of the workout is to get up to where heart rate's pushing pretty hard, but you're not dying. But just pushing hard. You're striding out. You're getting your body used to speed. It doesn't have to be the 3 minutes because, you know, if you can't do that, you just can't do it. And that's okay. Just be honest about it. But the workout is to push your body to this level. So do that instead.
That is such a more thought out perspective than I had in that. And I had the almost identical type of thought, but that was way more like elegant and thought out than I put it. Mine was, it's okay if you slow down, but don't slow down.
I'm like here doing like deep work trying to heal myself from past pains, probably from runs that have been bad.
And I'm purely thinking, don't stop just because you want to stop. You can go slower. It's totally fine. But also keep pushing that back foot and keep your pace and don't fall off your pace, and maybe check your watch to see if you're falling off pace. Oh, it's okay if you fall off pace. You can go slower, but also don't go slower.
You're just mixing yourself up. So you're just confused by the end.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm giving myself license to fail. It's fine, but also, you know, don't.
Right. Well,
I think both you and I have we have a tendency to go into things the same way, where like thinking about doing this workout again and when we will, and I mean, you'll probably do it sooner than I will, but I know I'll do it again at some point. Because like you said, it is just a good workout. But I think we both have that same perspective of, well, but maybe it'll be easy. I know I'm not in shape for it, but maybe it'll be just fine.
Well, because I'm sure you've had this too, where you surprise yourself. You're like, oh, cool. I didn't know I was in shape for that.
Oh, tons of times. Tons of times. Why? I think also our mentality for a lot of things, both you and I, is just that, well, it'll probably be fine and work and be easy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'll take that jump. It'll be just fine. And I'm sure I'll land it. And then when we don't, it's always like, oh yeah, that was a possibility.
And here's what I did wrong. Okay, well, don't do that next time, dummy.
Yeah. Maybe think about your landing when you land. Don't just crumble, and you'll be fine.
I think I'm also, as much as we're, the older we get, the closer we are in age.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
There's a post-40 difference that I experience, and hearing you talk about these things is like, oh right, that's what it's like to not be 40 yet. And
right, yeah, totally.
And I don't know why it happens, but the body changes so drastically for me, and I hear this from people all the time. At 40 years old, dead on, for some reason I am dealing with a different body now than I was a couple of years ago. And in some ways that, and in other ways I got to be more careful, and I have to be more consistent. And that just I have to think about the landing,
Right. Exactly.
Well, yeah, I have to go look at the landing. So, that's a big difference over the last just couple of years. That when I don't do that, things don't go well.
Yeah, it's interesting, because my experience with what people would tell me was 30, everything goes downhill. Everything starts deteriorating at 30, and it's you turn the day you turn 30, everything is worse. And I know people that have they obviously they say that because they feel it, but for me, 30 was nothing. That's fine. But what I have noticed in the past, again, 4 or 5 years, is just not my capabilities are that much different. And if they are, usually I can chalk it up to what I'm doing. I'm doing less of something. Like skateboarding, I'm just not doing it as much. So certain things have dropped off, which is understandable. But usually it's because So what I noticed is I now have to warm up. I need to take longer times to warm up and make sure I'm ready. But then I can still execute the thing I want to do just fine. It's just the preparation has gotten longer.
Mm-hmm.
But 40, I don't know. I don't know what 40 is going to do.
Yeah, 40 turned into, I have to be, so at 30, I noticed that all of a sudden my body can do things it couldn't before. I had to be more consistent as far as actually had to work out. And then my muscle development was drastically different. I built much stronger, bigger muscles with, really less work. And when I would just, I could recover quicker, but I was not near as powerful. No matter how hard I worked at it, it wouldn't happen. So at 30, all of a sudden, whoa, I can actually get some real strength here. And then in my 40s, it's just that staying consistent, work out every single day is so important. And I can perform really, really well as long as I'm doing that. But a couple off is noticeable now. And it didn't used to be that way.
Yeah, I don't know the physiology behind it very well, but I mean, it's pretty consistent. Strong men and power lifters are often late, that they have that mature muscle built. It takes time. You don't see strongman type athletes that are 22. Right. That mature muscle takes so much longer to build. So it makes sense that you would start feeling that muscle growth easier to build, into your 40s.
Yeah, it was real interesting how those differences happen a lot. And then, but staying, really working out consistently, working out my body real evenly, things like that, because that stuff comes back to bite me now way easier. On my 40th birthday, I need to go see a chiropractor then for 2 months.
Right.
I was literally on my birthday, I was bedridden.
I remember. That was very unfortunate.
From picking up my son, that. Yeah. And so, so that's a big difference there. But then lean into what are the opportunities at this age though? And that is that I do think that when I am consistent, I think there's opportunities here, and I think there's speed I can tap into, and there is, and further distances. I think that there's some things I could do better now than I could do before. And just trying to find that key to unlock it. But today's workout was one of them. Like this was, I heard about this, I did it. It's like, oh, that was a key. That was really cool.
Yeah, man, I'm so bummed out that I had a pain during it and had to cut it short, because I do remember that feeling from the last time I did it. I remember that feeling of unlocking something in the brain, in the mental state, or in the emotional capacity of exertion, right? And I'm bummed out that I didn't quite get there. I got close. I didn't quite get there.
What is great is that I do think you're still going to hit that, because I've had ones where I did less on purpose. Like I went out to plan to do, like we did last winter. We did 5, right?
Right. Yeah.
Still noticed a huge benefit right afterwards. And so
yeah, and you were struggling on that one too, like more than I think you expected.
Yeah, I thought that I was coming out of snowboard shape, and it's just not the same.
No, it's definitely not the same.
No. And I was in great shape, but it was not the same at all. And so that was, I thought I had more there, but man, that was rough.
Yeah, you were dying on that one. I handled that one way better than I thought I was going to, because I wasn't really running a lot at that time.
Okay, so here's the next trainer question, real quick here. And it might be a good way to wrap this up, actually, unless you have other things after this. But the question is now, and maybe this could be a theme even of the question is, am I an idiot? That's the question. Okay. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm on a workout plan in order to do a half marathon in October. And so my plan to that, I think I'm dead on. Everything's good. So today's workout was lined up for that. And so no problem there. I want that thing sub 7 minutes. Really, I want to be at 6:45. I don't know if I can pull that off this year, but I think I can get sub 7. That's what I want to do.
Okay.
So there is the time to work out for that. This workout for that is lined up perfectly. But I have 2 races this weekend. Was this workout today done? With 2 races 7 days away.
Okay, so two-part answer. First part is emotional and mentality. No, it was not dumb. It was good, because like you identified and you knew going into it, it unlocks another level of what you're capable of, and kind of opens your mindset up. Physically, I wouldn't say it was dumb. It probably wasn't smart. Like, ideally, today, thinking you got 2 races next week, you could have done this one this hard 3 weeks ago. And then this weekend, I would have done, like, even if you did this exact workout, but your pace would have been like 7:30. Hard strides, feeling strong, but you're sitting in that 67, not even 70%, like that 60% range. And 10 would have been excessive, but thinking that you got, your mileage has been up, that's, 5 miles is not that bad. So I would say, yeah, it's dumb, but also not, because you got benefit of it. And also, how your body recovers from these things. And you've noticed in the past that you don't break down when you do what is traditionally a really stupid training plan.
I do have a track record of that. So,
I mean, knowing your body speaks volumes. There's what the book says, the quote unquote book of exercise science, and everyone's new theories about it that come out all the time of training splits and plans and recovery and all that kind of stuff. So there's what people say and what is scientifically correct, but everyone's body is still so different. I've found, working with so many people over the years, that there is the ideal way, and very few people fit in the category of the ideal way. You really have to mold it to the person, and maybe it's not a dramatic change in the mold, but it's still, you got to shift. So obviously with you're like, no, I've done really hard workouts right before a race and felt amazing during the race. Like, Was that the optimal approach for the race? Probably not. But also, it works for you. So, don't mess with it.
Yeah, I figure a week out, I thought, I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
I got a week to recover, and then this week I'm going to follow my regular plan, but I'm going to back off a little bit as far as I'm just going to back off the intensity. So, totally. My other hard workout is supposed to be on Thursday. I'm doing 4 miles at 6:45 pace, which I've really struggled off very well. And,
that might be a little aggressive.
Yeah, I think I'll throw it at 7:30s instead.
That makes a lot more sense.
It's just a good striding pace for me, but it's not, I won't be sore the next day or anything like that at that pace. It'll just be a good stretch out. And then everything else this week is going to be really light running and lifting. And so that's the plan.
I think there's a strong argument for if it has a mental or emotional benefit, it outweighs potential physical damage.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that's within reason, but I think especially for someone like you, I think the mindset of it is extremely valuable.
It seems to happen that way. Yeah, I feel like I'm fighting that more than anything because, I can be sore and you still feel good a mile in, once it stretches and stuff. And that's not the end of the world most of the time. But I think, the focus is sleep this week and don't push, but, still get a little bit of speed in. I think I'll be in good shape, but we'll find out.
2 back-to-back. 1, you're going to dominate. 1, we'll see.
I'm planning to dominate both, and we'll find out how close I am to the plan.
And of course you will, right? Why not?
Of course I will. Yeah. It all comes down to who shows up,
Yeah, that is very true. All right, man. I got to go.